Good morning, everyone. So in this video, we'll be discussing about multiple disabilities. So what is multiple disabilities? These refers to the coexistence of two or more significant impairments, such as intellectual, physical, sensory, or emotional disabilities. These complex needs necessitate individualized interventions and support to optimize the individual's abilities and quality of life. Multiple disabilities is already familiar to us, diba? Kaya this is already given to us, or like have a gist of it by Miss Alabate, and today we'll be further discussing it, and I'll be giving you examples, and we will be focusing more on what is deaf blindness, a type of multiple disabilities. So these are some of the examples of multiple disabilities. First is blindness with intellectual disability. So kanisha is having loss of sight or having hard to see with with a coexistence of being an intellectual disability or like being a slow learner. Next is cerebral palsy with hearing loss. Cerebral palsy giplasan pa gyud og hearing loss, nearing deafness, di ba? So how unlucky kay di lang usa ang iyang disability but also having another. Next will be Down syndrome with epilepsy. So the person has a Down syndrome with a coexistence of epilepsy. So there are a lot of kinds of multiple disabilities, but now we'll be solely focusing on the multiple disabilities that have the coexistence of being a deaf and being blind, or as we call it, deaf blindness. Helping learners with deaf blindness. So in this, how will we help our learners or the people with deaf blindness, because it's very hard for them to see or they're not able to see and also not able to hear. So firstly, how do we improve their communication, or how do we communicate with the deaf blindness people? So first, we should teach tactile sign language and braille to enhance communication abilities. So in tactile sign language, as we can see on the picture, that it is not the typical sign language like the ASL or the American Sign Language. The tactile sign language is we are using the sensory of which is tactile, the sense that we which are not disabled by the disability. So in tactile sign language, so maggunit siya, or they will feel your hands or your body. Oh yeah, your hands dayon. Ang iyang ka-communicate is mag-sign language, and the deaf-blind people kay iyang i-feel ang imuhang hands on how will you move them, and they will read that. And that's how you communicate with tactile sign language. Next is using Braille. So we are already familiar with Braille, no? So in Braille, so this is like the language or like how they read the VI persons or the VI people, mga visually impaired. So they will just feel the dots like mga pitok-pitok, di ba, sa papel. They will read that, and muna nila hang language or like their alphabet. So we've learned how to communicate with those deaf-blind people. So now, how do we promote their mobility, or how can we teach them, or how can we train them to navigate their kanang mulakaw sila, di ba? So, firstly is provide orientation and mobility training to build spatial awareness and navigation skills. So, we will be training those deaf-blind people, especially our learners, with using a cane or ilan ang ikuan sa ground. If nabay obstacle in front of them, they will notice it or they will feel it, diba? So, as we can see naman sa ato ang like community, if we can see some blind people, so muna ilang gamiton as to navigate their maglakaw sila. So next is using tools like canes, guide dogs, and tactile maps to assist with movement. So as we all know, canes katong puti gani. Yeah, katong kung ikon na to sa ground nga siya for blind people makakita na to siya usually with them. Then next is guide dogs. So as you can see in the picture, so this is mostly common in UK on and also in the US. So kani ang guide dogs is like they are trained dogs. Di ni sila basta-basta na iro na kuan. They will be helping or they will be guiding the person who is blind or who deaf blind people na magliso mga dili ka kita. So ang mga iro kay sila mo yung guide to kung asa sila mo adto para di pud sila maunsa or ana to prevent some obstacles and dangers. Next is tactile maps. So kaning tactile maps, this is a map for those blind people or deaf blind people katong mga dili kita. They will just fill the kuan paper like they are muna siya map na siya na gi-brailled somewhat sa makita man nato sa picture, no. So they will just fill it, then makabantay na sila if diri ang building diri na side ana. So it is a map that is brailled for those who can't see. And now moving on, we will tackling about understanding sexuality of those who have multiple disabilities. Firstly is sexual rights. People with multiple disabilities have the right to explore their sexuality, express their feelings, and form relationships just like anyone else. This includes the right to make decisions about their bodies and relationships. So, of course, ang ganing mga with multiple disabilities, naarga po ni sila rights. So, dili na to na itanggi sa ilaha. So, having rights to having sexual interaction, having a family, to loving someone, expressing their feelings. So next will be the challenges. So people with multiple disabilities might face barriers in understanding sexuality, accessing education, or finding appropriate partners. They may also face social stigma or misconceptions about their sexual needs or desires. These challenges require compassionate and individualized support. So of course there will be challenges for them to having sexual intercourse with another, like having understanding their sexuality or like how this how the sexual interaction work on sa pagka magbata ana. So next is the support and advocacy. Families, caregivers, and educators can play an important role in supporting individuals with disabilities by providing education, guidance, and advocating for their rights to sexual health and relationships. So of course, need yun nila ang support and also the advocacy. Kita ganing mga normal people lang, mga lucky, kay kailangan ganito to support good, especially them na sila multiple disabilities. So the families and caregivers and also the educators will play an important role or a big role on supporting them. So, for the conclusion, understanding sexuality in individuals with multiple disabilities means recognizing their autonomy and ensuring they receive the support and education necessary to navigate their sexual development and relationships in a safe, respectful, and informed manner. So, that's it for my report. I am John Ketly B. Acibes. Once again, good morning and thank you.